Heyo! Hello out there, wonderful internet people. The two of you that probably exist. Welcome back to Bearded Brothers present yet another sports podcast where we talk about sports and stuff. I am Matt.
Sometimes.
I am Matt.
I am sometimes.
Yeah, he is sometimes. And today is just going to be, we're going to do the standard news today. But since there haven't been any games to talk about because there was only the Pro Bowl and the NHL All-Star game, and neither of us cared about either of those. I think the NFC won the Pro Bowl.
I have no idea. Don't really care.
Don't care either. I know that Justin Tucker was labeled as the best kicker.
What a shock.
Yeah, apparently they were doing tic-tac-toe.
Well, okay.
And he lined up 3 in a row based on his kicks. Now, the other guy from the NFC had a shot to win it, but missed his kick. Tucker nailed it spot on. And you just went, yeah, it's fucking Justin Tucker. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, like, is anybody surprised?
Shouldn't be.
All right. That all being said, we're going to start with news, and then we are going to do a full NFL power rankings. 32 all the way up to 1. And it's not... So before we get into it, I'm going to... Well, we'll explain it before we get into it. How we're actually ranking them. All right. So starting with the news, let's start with the headline big news first. Eric Bieniemy is out of a job in Washington. And the timeline of these events are a little weird, because I'm not entirely sure how it happened. It looked like Cliff Kingsbury was about to sign with the Oakland Raiders. And then somehow or another...
Vegas Raiders.
What did I say?
Oakland.
My bad. The Vegas Raiders. And then somehow or another, like, as it's being reported he's signing and going to be their OC, he removed himself from contention for the job. And within 6 hours, he was the Washington Commanders OC. And they hadn't yet fired Bieniemy. At least not publicly. So there was rampant speculation that he was out. They finally have confirmed he's out. I think this has come as a shock to even him. We've kind of talked back and forth, Chris and I, kind of speculated that maybe the Commanders hoped that Kingsbury would be available next year. And that they would just write out Bieniemy's contract, let him walk on his own terms, and be able to seek a new job, know that he wasn't getting renewed, and then hire Kingsbury. But when Oakland came this close to getting him, they scooped him. They felt like they were going to have their hand forced. So they went out and grabbed a guy they really wanted, which left Bieniemy in the lurch, because now they have to let him go. And I don't think that anybody was ready for this, so that I think it was kind of a mess.
I'm not sure why they wanted him in the first place. We saw what he did with a young QB in fucking Arizona. But okay.
But I mean, that was his head coach.
I know, but he still picked his guy, and you know he was the one that was coaching him. Like,
but there's a lot more to do, and as I've stated, there's always a lot more
work,
to do.
Obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot more work to do. You can't just focus on...
But it wasn't even just that. My point is, it wasn't just about success. It was about the fact that you could tell they didn't fucking like each other.
Now,
like,
that's the...
I don't know if that's because of Kyler. I don't know if that's because of Kingsbury. But everything I've heard from Kingsbury and how Kyler has kind of turned it around since then, it makes me think Kingsbury's just kind of a tyrant. But we'll see, I guess.
We will, because apparently, Everybody's saying they got Kingsbury because they want to go after Caleb Williams, and he's got a previous relationship with Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Seems a slight stretch to me, but yeah.
I agree. I just don't. As we were discussing before we even went on the air today, we don't think they have the capital to pull that off.
Yeah.
They'd be better off drafting Drake May, and we think, regardless, we both feel that Chicago's going to trade the first pick, and then they're going to stick with Fields. There's a lot of people out there that disagree with us, but that's just how we see it playing out. It overall makes more sense, but we'll have to see. Financially, I could understand if they wanted to move on, but I know Caleb doesn't really want to play in Chicago, and he's kind of made that known, which means, are you going to draft Drake May then instead, or are you going to swap picks with Washington so that you can get May at 2 and they can get Williams at 1? I don't know what's going to happen. That doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah.
Unless you can get more for trading that pick to Washington and trading away Fields to bring in May, than you would get by trading the first overall pick alone, which...
I know, but that would make no sense for Washington to trade it if they know that the Bears aren't going to get Caleb. There'd be no reason for the Washington to ever make that move.
Exactly. The only reason that Washington would make that move is that they're afraid of somebody else making that move to go up on them and get Caleb.
And even then, that seems really... It seems dumb, I'll just say that.
It does, but it's going to be... Depending on what Chicago makes known, it's either going to be a game of cat and mouse, and we're going to see who's got the better GM.
I guess.
Now, Andy Reid, not retiring.
Not shocking.
Not really. Exact quote, today is not that day.
Hasn't even finished the season yet, technically.
Nope. Still has another game to play. Tony goes off in another rant. Kadarius Toney.
Dude, I swear to God he's going to be cut from the Chiefs after this season.
I never attacked the Chiefs. Hey, do you think you could be a number 1 wide receiver? Yeah, if I'm given the ball. Stop dropping passes and you might see the ball more often.
I swear that guy's going to get cut with the way he's acting.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong with him, but yeah, probably. Let me see here. Ben McAdoo is with the Patriots now. The NFL will have a game in Brazil next year.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
And...
They're more into soccer. I don't understand that. Okay, whatever.
Football and football. Confuse them.
Like, Mexico makes sense. They actually like football, but Brazil, that one's weird to me.
And the ex-Packers defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, wasn't out of a job for very long.
Surprising.
Very surprising, as the Dolphins have hired him to be their linebackers coach.
Interesting choice.
Very interesting choice. I'm not sure I approve of such a thing.
I mean, he's going much smaller scale because obviously DC didn't work out, so maybe this will help. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
He's only got to focus on one small group of the defense rather than the whole defense. I don't know. And he's not going to be calling defensive plays either. So obviously,
Precisely. That's an actual thing that we need to. That is something that actually happened. Outside of that, let me see here. Joel Embiid for basketball is out for 4 weeks after a knee procedure, at least. It also sounds like Zach LaVine will miss extended time after needing a surgery. So that's a thing. Now, couple of weird baseball things that I think are fun. Because there's been a couple of weird ones. First off, there was all that flub and all that stuff about Oakland A's going to Vegas. Well, Vegas Mayor, I think the A's should try to stay in Oakland.
In other words, we aren't interested in you guys at all.
You suck too much. Don't come here. It also sounds like Kershaw is going back to the Dodgers, which is good news. We should also point out that Patty Mahomes' dad has been arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. I almost said drunk while intoxicated. Not sure that one works.
I mean, surely he's going to be drunk if he's intoxicated.
You would think. But yes, he has been picked up on suspicion of DWI. And the final little bit of news is something that I just find funny. Because technically the first one is not 100% incorrect, but the second shot back was hilarious. Cam Newton, who's been kind of on a tirade against Brock Purdy for quite some period of time now, and who is famous for saying, ain't 32 better than me, he said that Purdy was the 10th best player on his own team. Which, I mean, if you think about it, maybe. He's certainly not top 5.
There's a lot of good players on that team.
Because there's a lot of great players on that team. 100%. Then Brock Purdy fired back that said, I know right now the NFL teams employ a total of 90 quarterbacks, and you aren't good enough to be one of them.
And to be fair, also Cam ran into a lot of injuries when he was, so.
Well, literally ran into.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he hadn't sustained as many injuries, he probably would still be in the league. But
well, also, if he hadn't ran into them, like in his car.
Well, that too, yeah.
Sorry, I had to. But yeah, he
sustained a lot of injuries that he could have been.
He did sustain a lot of injuries
affordable.
with his play style because he never really evolved to be a pocket passer or to be a guy who can move just enough to get out of trouble. Like Lamar now.
Patriots tried to do that and it didn't work.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, you see Lamar now, and you see how he functions, where he keeps his eyes downfield and he only runs if he has to.
Yeah.
Makes him even more dangerous because you know it's there and that he can bust it out whenever he wants to. But now that he's showing that he can also throw and pass and has an arm and accuracy, now the Ravens are even more dangerous. So that's a thing that the league is going to have to be on the lookout for.
You can't ask for scritches after biting me. No. You can't see what's happening.
No, I can't.
I was giving him scritches because he's sitting on my hands, and then he bit my thumb, and so I stopped. And then he keeps pushing his face against my thumb like he wants more scritches. No, you just bit me.
It doesn't work that way.
You don't get what you want after biting me. He certainly believes he can. Don't worry, he'll eventually end up on the microphone again, I'm sure.
Or he'll bite you again.
I mean, he never bites me hard, normally. He's only done it a couple of times. But it's just annoying enough where I'm just like, no, stop that.
So, I had a weird experience the other day with an animal that bit me. Because it wasn't biting me. Okay. So, as I've mentioned, on Saturdays, we go to a friend's house and we play D&D at their place. And they have 2 cats. They have Prince and they have Zuko. Zuko has 2 brain cells, and they're both fighting for last place.
Fair.
Don't get it twisted. Love the cat to death. He doesn't want anything to do with me, though, so he generally avoids me. I don't know why, but he doesn't want anything to do with me. Prince, on the other hand, Prince is so weird. He'll go over as soon as I take my shoes off. He'll stick his head in my shoes and then lay all over them.
Weird choice.
I agree. We noticed him doing this one day. Like, he was flipping my shoes around and, like, sticking his head in them and playing with them. And I was like, what is freaking wrong with you? So the other day I was petting him and I felt a little nip. Not hard, but enough to let me know that he put his mouth around my arm and let go. And I was like, what was that? And she goes, did he really bite down, or was it just kind of like a put my mouth on your arm and then backed off? I said, that one. And he goes, oh yeah, that means he likes it and he wants you to do it harder. He wants you to pet him harder like that. He likes it.
That's weird.
I was like, that's weird. And that came out weird.
That also, yeah, I was gonna say that sounds weird.
Yeah.
He wants it harder.
He wants it harder, wants it rougher. Okay, no.
use different words for that.
Use different words for that, please. But yeah, no, so apparently he was enjoying what I was doing and wanted to tell me to do it more and more aggressively.
See, my bird gets mad if I pet him aggressively. He hates that shit. So
yeah, like I said,
he nips me whenever I get so for anyone who doesn't know, when you're scratching a bird, they got blood feathers all over, and those are ones that you don't want to pull on or really mess with or anything, because that's where their blood is. And yes, we're talking about you. Yes, there he goes.
He's like, I know you're talking about me, so now I'm going to be the center of attention.
And when I'm scratching him, if I tweak one of the blood feathers in a way, he gets really upset about that, because obviously, it doesn't feel good, I'm sure. So, yeah. Hi. All right.
All right. Sounds good to me too.
Yep, he agrees. So then he'll nip me to let me know that he did not enjoy that feeling. And most of the time I can tell when I can feel when it happens, because it's not a feather that moves nicely. Like you can feel the difference. And most of the time now I just try to avoid them. But once in a while when I'm scritching him and he moves, because obviously he's moving at the same time, sometimes I catch one. He gets all pissy at me for it, even though he was the one that fucking moved.
He goes, what? Not my fault. You're the one whose hand it is.
Pretty much. As if my thumb isn't his fucking face. What are you doing, man? No one else is home, man. He likes grandma so much that every time he hears anybody come home, he thinks it's grandma.
All right, well, I think that's about all the news. I don't have any other major news. Oh, I do have one piece of football news. Soccer. And that is Kylian Mbappe will be leaving Paris Saint-Germain, or Paris Saint-Germain, for
Paris Saint-Germain.
Paris Saint-Germain. For all of the English speakers out there. Paris Saint-Germain. He's going to leave them for Real Madrid.
Oh, okay. Real Madrid.
Just have to butcher it.
Hey, I'm English. Leave me alone.
Real Madrid.
Okay. I mean, they're competitively, for anyone who doesn't know, pretty much in the same market. So.
Yeah, they are, and that was the whole thing. It's like it would be the same of like a dude going from New England from the Patriots to the Jets or the Giants or something.
Yeah. They're kind of in the same market, so it's a little weird, but whatever.
It's a little bit weird, but it's also there's been a lot of
more in soccer with that kind
of
stuff.
But it's also there've been a lot of tensions between Mbappe and PSG for some time now.
Yeah.
And it's been rumored that he's wanted to leave for quite a while.
Yeah, but PSG being PSG is just like, yeah, no.
More or less.
Because they have so much money, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they do. Real Madrid has a lot of money too, though.
I know. They're the only ones that can really, I shouldn't say the only ones, but they're one of the few that can compete in that
One of the few that
market.
can compete in the market with PSG in terms of cash.
Yep.
There aren't a whole lot.
No.
Not unless you get into, like, English soccer. Then you've got, like, Arsenal and...
yeah, they don't have nearly as much money, though.
What is it? Manchester United and...
Manchester is the other big one, obviously.
Man City and Man United.
But even then, they don't have as
Yeah,
much money as
they don't have
PSG
as
and
much
Real
as like
Madrid.
PSG. No.
No, PSG's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have at least the same 32.
Do you want to start? You want me to start?
We should probably explain how we're doing this too.
Okay,
just for those.
let's explain. So, this is not based on what they can do next season. That list will happen after the draft because that'll be after free agency and the draft, and then we can evaluate the new talent that's come in and what talent has left. Plus, we can get an idea of what the vision for new teams and new coaches has. Because there's several teams that have new coaches now, and you got to look at what their vision is. And that's going to be based off of people they sign and draft picks they have, right? So we're not looking at any of that now.
Nope.
We're looking at what did you do last season compared to what we thought you would do last season.
Yep. Exactly.
So I still had my original 1 to 32 list, so I'm going to be able to tell you how far up or how far down somebody fell on my lists. Chris, unfortunately, did not save his, so he has no idea.
Nope. I got a good guess. I'd have to go back and watch the video, but I'm just too goddamn lazy to do that.
I totally understand. So, that's how we're doing this. This is based off of how you did this season, not what we think you could do next season. There will be one of those. It'll be after the draft and before the preseason, and then we will again do another list after the preseason because that'll give us a chance to evaluate the
actual rookies.
Yeah, and how the new systems for new coaches with their new teams set into place.
Yep.
So, do you want to start, or you want me to start?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we have the same 32. 32 is obviously the team that, like, I didn't have a lot going into it in the first place, but after seeing what they did, went, yeah, this is not going to get better, is it? The 32 is Panthers. Like, there's no question it's the Panthers. They have a dumb owner that made some horrible decisions and has, ever since taking ownership of the Panthers, has just sunk that organization back into the depths of hell. So, the Panthers did horrible last season. I didn't have high hopes from them in the first place, but they somehow succeeded they succeeded in blowing my expectations out of the water just in the reverse possible direction.
I also have the Carolina Panthers at 32. I was a little higher on them to start the season than you were. I had them up at 22. They have dropped 10 spots. I mean, honestly, could it be anyone else, though? There's nobody else that performed bad enough to be in this spot. No. On top of which, you gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore for a guy that might just be a bust. We don't know
I don't
that
know if
yet.
He's necessarily a bust.
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
Definitely not first pick worthy at this point.
Based on what we saw, absolutely correct. He is not first overall pick worthy. You also have probably the worst owner in football and no hope. Expect to be back here next season.
Gosh, you hope not, but it's very possible.
It's super possible, especially considering you don't have your first rounder this year. That belongs to Chicago, who's probably going to trade it away, and you have no chance of getting it.
Exactly. That's horrible. All right, let's go to 31. 31, I think this is where things, surprisingly enough, will not be the same. I imagine we're going to have some close similarities, but I don't think this will be the same. So, at 31, I actually have the Washington Commanders. I wasn't super high on them in the first place, but all I'm going to say is Sam Howell isn't it. He is not the guy, and it was very clear. Like, he's got potential to be a really, really good backup or even a stopgap quarterback, but he is certainly not a full-time starter. And the Commanders had a lot of other issues. Obviously, you know, the fact that Ron Rivera's not there anymore is probably telling in that regard. It just there was a lot of things that didn't work. They were, to be fair, sometimes unlucky, but they just kind of were. I don't know how to explain it outside. They just felt very flat.
Yeah, I can see that. However, while they are low on my list, they are not 31.
I figured.
31 to me belongs to the New England Patriots. Man, look, y'all had fun for like 2 decades winning God knows how many Super Bowls. All right? What, 7 of them or something? This is now your valley. Sit down. Be quiet. You're going to suck for a little while. You'll probably eventually be good again, but not for a little bit. Shh. You've dropped 5, by the way. Only 5. So well within a margin of error.
Yep. So, my next one at spot 30 is the Chargers. And the reason why is because I had so much high expectations for this team. For them to shit the bed so fucking hard is... I mean, there's just no way to justify having that talent on that team and playing as bad as they did the entire fucking season. You get dropped to 30. Like, I expect next season, based on everything we've seen, like, if I were to do a next season look right now, I would drop them almost, at least 10 points up from here. But, like, frankly, they just... This team had so much more expectations. This team I was looking at is a playoff contender. They weren't even in it, not even close. Like, they just shit the bed, just straight up.
I didn't drop them as far because I do blame the fact that Herbert got hurt on a lot of their late season spiral. They weren't playing great before that, but when they brought in the interim coach, you thought, okay, maybe, and then he gets immediately hurt, and you're like, well, there's their season.
Yeah, I can't completely blame it on that. I think Staley was just fucking trash.
I agree, but they got rid of the GM and they got rid of the.
No, I know, but it just wasn't. It wasn't enough to save that season. That was already kind of tanking. It was already toilet bowling at that point.
However, at number 30, I have a team you've already mentioned.
Yeah,
the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. That's fair.
Man, nothing went right for you guys, did it? You brought in an offensive coordinator that everybody thought might be the heir apparent to Ron Rivera when he left at the end of the season. Turns out he wasn't all that, and new ownership didn't like it.
Nope.
You stuck with a quarterback that people thought might have some talent, only to find out he's probably at best a career backup. You couldn't keep anybody on the field, and then at the trade deadline, you dismantled your defense.
Yep.
Look, I think you're going to be in for a rough several years at this point. You're bringing in Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not expecting a quick turnaround. You're down actually 7 from where I thought you would be.
That's fair. All right, at 29, I have the New England Patriots. Didn't have a lot of high hopes for you. In fact, I think I had you at 30 last time. I know it was pretty low. So you're not that far off from where you were. You didn't play very well. You didn't look very good. Kind of expected this. So, enjoy being down in the bottom rankings for a while.
At number 29, I have the New York City Giants. Woof! You spent all that money on Danny Dumpdown just to come nowhere close to a playoff spot. You brought in a big-name tight end who got injured. You had a plethora of wide receivers, none of which worked out. You tried to fix your defense, and that went decent. That was the best part about your team, I think.
Pretty much.
And Saquon Barkley finally looked good. So maybe you shouldn't have paid Danny Dump-Off and you should have paid Saquon. Just saying. Might have been a better idea. You dropped 21 spots because I thought you would be in contention for an NFC East title, and boy did you not come anywhere close to that. You,
nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, stunk. And I understand that you lost Jones partway through the season, but honestly, you played better without him. That's all I have to say about that.
Fair enough. You have anything to say to that? He sometimes has things to say. So at 28, hey, come on, man. No one's home. Stop that. Jesus. If he keeps this up, I'm gonna have to put him to bed. So at 28, I have the New York Giants, because, I mean, they were just kind of shit, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree. They paid Danny Dimes. When I first heard about it, I went, that seems like a poor choice to pay him, especially that much. And, like, yeah, granted, they came of a playoff season. Dable looked like he was the guy. I still think Dable's the guy, but, like, paying Danny Dimes that much money was not the correct move. He wasn't worth that much cash, and on top of that, then they ran into so many different issues amongst injuries, and they got really unlucky. And I feel bad for what had happened to the Giants, but frankly, you guys did pretty shit compared to what was expected of you. And not all of it on you, not all of it's your own fault, but it is what it is, and this is what happens sometimes.
So at number 28, I have the Tennessee Titans. Wow. I mean, just wow. You probably have a good future QB with Levis, but you still don't have a number one wide receiver. You still have holes on the O-line, and you're probably going to lose King Henry for nada. Also, you fired your head coach, who was the best thing to happen to your team in a decade, and you brought in a guy that, from what we understand, didn't even call the offensive plays on his great offensive team. Down 7.
That's fair. At 27, I have the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I can't really say much more than you already did. Honestly, again, this is a team that you looked at and you went, "Hey, this could potentially have some success." I had them pretty middling, I think, last full power rankings, and it just everything kind of went against them. It kind of fell apart slowly but surely at the seams, and it's kind of sad to see, but it is what it is. But getting rid of Vrabel was a really stupid decision.
At number 27, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Look,
Okay.
you started bad. But let's be honest, no one really thought you would do much better. Murray came back and looked way better than he had been, especially in taking blame for mistakes that he made. I mean, James Conner came along strong at the end of the season. Maybe you have something there in the future, or maybe it's all a desert illusion. Time is the only thing that will tell us the answer to that one. But based on your record and everything else that happened, I can't put you higher than 27. If this were a look forward, post-draft, you probably rise 6 or 7 more spots. Just because I think there's something there. Currently, you're only up 5, though.
At 26, I have the New York Jets. You want to talk about a team that had some of the highest of expectations going into the season. For everything to fall apart literally week 1 is really depressing. And again, you can't really blame all of that on the Jets with everything that happened, but this is the reality of the situation. You guys were expected to perform much better than you did, and even after after Rodgers kind of, having his unfortunate situation with his Achilles, people still expected that that defense would be stout and maybe they could get an offense moving with one of their backups, at least get a couple games, and it just really didn't work. Nothing seemed like it was going your way, and it felt like halfway through the season, your team kind of gave up. So, 26. I mean, I still have high expectations probably going forward into the future, just because Rodgers is going to come back. But as far as the look back goes, this was a very depressing season compared to what a lot of people expected.
You are not wrong. However, They are not next on my list. Next on my list at 26, the Los Angeles Chargers. Look, I had great expectation for you guys, and look, it hurts my soul to put you down here because you had an issue where your superstar starting QB got hurt. Your franchise player got hurt. Obviously, that tanks your season. You're done. But you weren't really playing great before that, and you hung on to Brandon Staley for way longer than you needed to. He is totally, and proved repetitively, Staley, not worth the effort. I don't know why you guys hung on to him for so long. He should have been done after last season when you were up. You had 4 turnovers in 1 quarter, and you were up, I don't even remember how many scores, and then you blew it. You blew it. At that point, he should not have come home on the plane. You should have left him on the tarmac with his suitcases in Jacksonville and told him to hitchhike his way back home, that he was out of a job. He shouldn't have even been let back on the team plane. Good luck, goodbye. But, you're down 10. If we're looking at next year, based on the coaching hire you made and everything else, and Herbert coming back and yada yada yada, yeah, I think you've got a really good shot at moving way higher up this list. Probably back up to where I had you. But based on this season, no, you're down 10. Stay there for right now. You go in the corner and sit and think about what you did.
Fair enough. Obviously, I was a bit rougher on them than you were.
A bit.
Okay, so 25, I have the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't expect much from you in the first place. Murray looked better when he came back. Had a couple games that came close, and they unfortunately lost. They looked pretty decent, and I think that the next year is looking pretty decent. But obviously, we're not talking about next year. We're talking about last year, and unfortunately, circumstance being what it is, it was a rebuild year, and they played like it was a rebuild year.
Until the end of it, where they played really good.
Yeah, but mostly it was a rebuild.
Mostly it was a rebuild year. At 25, I have the New York Jets. Talk about having promise just killed on the first offensive drive of your season. Ugh. Look, you started swinging at first and hoped to go down swinging, but it was very clear that you punched yourself out by about mid-season and were just done. You had long stretches of ineptitude after that. You tried to do some comeback and punch up a little bit at the end of the season, but not enough to make a difference. Not enough to make anything noteworthy happen. I am going to say Saleh now has to be on the hot seat this season. You have Rodgers coming back. If you can't make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs, he's going to find himself unemployed. They have dropped 22 spots and win the trophy for the largest faller. Good job.
Sense. At 24, I have the Chicago Bears. Didn't expect much from you guys in the first place because it was clear that you guys were still sort of getting everything in place. You guys looked okay, not great, and there was just a lot of what the hell is going on with this season every time I watched you guys play. So, I don't know. I think you guys have potential, but you keep kind of stumbling over your own feet, and it was kind of showed last year. That's all I really got to say about that.
And number 24, I have the Atlanta Falcons. Ouch. You could have been good if not for a coach that had no idea how to actually coach. You really do need a QB, either a vet or a rookie, but it's clear that you need to get rid of Ritter. Up 1.
At 23, I have the Atlanta Falcons because, you can only use a magic 8-ball to get you so far in life.
Fair enough. You're going to hate me. At
Let's see.
23, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, yeah, losing Kirk was bad. Losing JJ for several weeks was bad. Losing TJ for the end of the season was bad. But that describes the season. Bad. I mean, it had some fun pieces to it. The Pastronaut was great for like 3 weeks.
2.5.
2.5. But it was mostly just a depressing slog into irrelevancy. The Kirk Cousins here in Minnesota needs to be over, and they need to draft a young QB, or they need to get a good veteran QB on a good price tag, or both Adolfo Mensa and KOC could find themselves out of jobs. Down 8.
At 22, I have the Denver Broncos. Because, man, so many people had this team riding high when they got Sean Payton, saying he was going to fix Russ and everything was going to be great. And that didn't fucking happen until maybe partway through, probably about halfway through the season. And even then, I don't think that was really much of a fix as much as it was you put a little Band-Aid over for a short time. It was a bad season. No one liked it. I certainly didn't. Broncos at 22.
At 22, I have the Chicago Bears. Why are you at 22? Because honestly, I expected nothing from you. And then you went out and actually did some good things. Especially by the end of the season when Fields started looking like he figured himself out. I feel like you actually overperformed compared to what I thought for you. Fields does finally seem to be figuring things out. I don't think Eberflus is the right coach, but I mean, you do have some good things going on there. Up 7.
At 21, I have the Vegas Raiders because I honestly didn't expect much from you guys this year. Especially considering the fact you guys were sticking with, God knows who at QB at the time. But you guys did okay. You weren't amazing, especially considering the fact you had the Snake as your coach for way longer than he should have been there. But after finally getting rid of the Snake, you guys started to climb back up in the rankings and showing that this team can compete. Unfortunately, it was just a little too late by the time you did that decision.
21. I have the Denver Broncos. Okay. Penalties were an issue. Peyton does seem to have them playing decent. I mean, maybe better than last year, but that's a pretty low hurdle. Rush may already be out. I honestly don't know what to think of this team, but you were better than I thought you'd be. Up 3.
At 20, I have the Minnesota Vikings because, well, they unfortunately went to shit about halfway through the season, and, not entirely their own fault, when you deal with injuries and everything, but it's very clear that things started to fall off the rails very quickly, and there wasn't much they could do. They tried kind of sticking it together with gum and sticks, and it just didn't hold up for the rest of the season. So, unfortunately, team that I expected to play a little better and could have played better and potentially was looking like a good team until Kirk went down. It's a little sad to see what happened, but unfortunately, sometimes that's just how football goes.
Number 20. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, ouch. That collapse down the stretch looked absolutely horrendous. Kind of the inverse of last year, right? You didn't start good, and you ended on a hot streak banger. This year, you started pretty good, and then went colder than an ice cube to end the season. I mean, what even was that? All that feel good from last year just flat out vanished. Down 15.
At number 19, I have the Indianapolis Colts, which feels weird to say because you lost your QB, third, fourth game in the fucking season? And you still managed to look good with Gardner Minshew? I'm not going to mince words. This team is going to be competitive as all hell with Richardson next year. And the fact that you made it to 19 out of all of this is crazy in my book. So, you know what? I'm interested to see how next year goes because last year wasn't even that bad. 19 is not that bad. I mean, it sounds bad, but you're legitimately near the middle of the pack. Like you, and that's for somebody losing your supposedly star QB. Like, I don't know, man. That's pretty crazy in my book.
I agree. Um, at 19, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Talk about the exact opposite of my last team. They went on a hell of a run. The Raiders started really bad and eventually got their coach, he who shall not be named, fired. Then Pierce takes over and the Raiders went on an absolute tear. Now they've removed the interim tag from him and he's the actual head coach and we get to see how good they could be. Up 8.
At 18, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars because, I mean, this team looks so good at the front half and so bad in that second half, and it really hurt to watch it happen. I know that some of what happened at the end of the season was because Trevor Lawrence was playing injured and shouldn't have been, but that's up to the coaches to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be playing if you're actually hurt. And they didn't. They let him play, and it looked bad. And this is what happens.
At number 18, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, that went better than expected. JT came back. Pittman Jr. is proving to be a really good wide receiver. And in the small sample size we got, Richardson does look like your QB of the future. You came a game from the playoffs and far exceeded anybody's expectations, up 13.
At 17, I have the Seattle Seahawks. I expected a little bit more out of you guys, especially given last year, but you also did exactly what I thought would happen. You regressed. Geno Smith is still just Geno Smith.
At 17, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Look, you did slightly underperform this year. Still came close to a playoff spot, but fell short of expectations based on last season. Still, you are probably one QB away from another really competitive team. Down 5. Also, you're getting penalized a touch for kicking Pete Carroll upstairs against his will.
Fair enough. At 16, I have the New Orleans Saints. You guys actually played decently, but also kind of bad at the same time. You dealt with a lot of injuries to your QB and Carr. You guys got to beef up that O-line and not let them get hit so fucking much, because that's what's killing you guys, really, to be honest. But even despite that, you still looked okay. I don't know. I think you slightly overperformed from what I expected, but you're kind of still in that middle-ish area, and I don't know. Like, it was hard to get you much higher than this, to be honest with you.
At number 16, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Ouch. You started rough with Burrow suffering that calf injury. Didn't look like himself for the first, 4 games of the season. Then things got better. And he got better. And then you lost him for the season. I mean, you did soldier on, but it obviously wasn't enough. You'll be back next year, down 12.
At 15, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. How the fuck are you always, hanging around the top half of the fuck? I don't even know. What kind of blood demon are you making? I don't get it. You guys didn't even look that good, and yet, the end of the season, you still managed to somehow squeak your way into fucking playoffs. I don't get it. I don't understand. But here you are. Congrats?
Number 15, I have the New Orleans Saints. I mean, you had chances this year, but I'm not sure Dennis Allen is the man for this job. Your D looks really good at times.
That came out weird.
Sorry. That's
You
what
like
she
Dennis
said.
Allen's D, huh?
That's what she said. And then your offense was either magical or shit. There was no in between. Down one.
Being an asshole. Why are you being an asshole?
Because I want people to be home, Dad.
At 14, I have the Cincinnati Bengals because, frankly, they looked pretty okay. And then Burrow went out, and they still looked pretty okay with Browning for a bit. It was a season that could have obviously been substantially better than it was if Burrow had stayed around. But, I'm actually a little shocked that they would manage to still stay fairly relevant despite the fact that they lost Burrow. So they stayed at 14.
At 14, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. How you guys had another winning season and backed into a playoff spot off an improbable series of shit happening, and then you promptly lost. Down 5. I have no more to say about you.
At 13, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, you guys were riding high for so long. And that fucking back half of the season was such a torrential slope that I just can't justify bringing you too much higher. Like, I knew I couldn't put you in the top 10, so I had to find a place to put you in between here and 15, and it just... I don't know what happened. I don't know how you can play so horribly for so many games in a row. I don't understand what happened. I just don't understand what happened.
All right. At number 13, guess who I have? Also the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, what happened here? You started like it was last season, and then just stunk it up in the back half. Your coach couldn't figure out how to pull you out of it. You couldn't figure out how to pull you out of it, and I have no idea what went wrong. Down 12.
Pretty much. All right. At number 12, I have the Green Bay Packers. You guys, I don't understand it. I don't know why, but you managed to have a good season despite starting bad and seem to have another QB, which makes me really sad, and the fact that we're even talking about this makes me really sad. I'm done now.
They're up higher for me because they damn near made it to the NFC Championship game. Probably should have, too.
Nah, I don't agree with that, but that's fine.
So at number 12, I have a team that made the playoffs. I completely did not expect to make the playoffs. In fact, I thought they were pretty much done this season. And that's the LA Rams. You were way better than I thought you were going to be. And I mean, you literally just missed the top 10. Still, even with all of that, Stafford proved he is one hell of a tough nut. And anybody who says they saw Puka Nacua as a potential offensive rookie of the year is just a straight up liar. Like, we had people who said, yeah, he's going to be pretty good. He might be, he might be really good. There's some potential there. There's something there. We'll see how they use him. If you would have told anybody that he was going to break rookie records, you're a liar. Nobody saw that coming.
Fair.
Up 16, by the way.
All right, at number 11, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because, one, you managed to squeak your way into playoffs, played pretty damn well. Your start of the season was a little rough, Your middle of the season was a little rough. The end of the season was a little rough. Like, it was kind of up and down city for you guys all in general, but you have Baker Mayfield, who clearly seems to be the guy, at least somewhat. He's not like an elite quarterback, but he's definitely a pretty dang good one. And you guys have some defensive issues here and there, some offensive holes here and there, but overall, you guys performed better than I expected. And I think your future is looking pretty decent, all things considered.
At number 11, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Same old, same old. Great regular season, followed by crumbling in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, at this point, what more can Dallas do? If McCarthy can't fix that problem, he probably won't be renewed at the end of the season. Broke even.
At number 10, I have the Cleveland Browns because, man, that defense is so goddamn good that it didn't matter you didn't have a quarterback. And even by the time you did get a quarterback, he was really fucking too old for that spot. Don't get me wrong, he played pretty dang well for the last part of the season that you needed him to, but he was never going to get you to a Super Bowl. I hate to say it. But you definitely overperformed.
Way. At number 10, I have the Miami Dolphins. You guys did good. Very good. I mean, you still can't win a playoff game. You haven't done that since, I think, before VCRs may have been invented.
No, remember they had that string with
Hold on.
what's his name? In the 80s, and the VCRs I thought were more like the 70s, man.
Did they have a string in the 80s with him?
I thought they did.
Come on, stop that.
Didn't they go to the Super Bowl with him once?
No.
I thought they got close. I know he never won one, but I thought they got close.
Actually, it has been before VCRs. They won, but it has still, it's been 20,
It's been a while.
20, let me see, we're in 2024, 24 years.
Yeah.
The last time
It's been
they
a while.
won a playoff game was in 2000.
Yep. Been a while.
So, still can't win a playoff game. It's been 20 years. The last time you won a playoff game, I was just going into the military.
Funny thing is, they almost won last year, but nope, couldn't quite do it.
Yep. However, this year I feel like you got burned, or rather frozen. Better luck next year. Up 7.
At number 9, I have the Houston Texans, because who the fuck expected this team to be even remotely in the top 10? Holy shit, they overperformed so hard that it nearly broke my brain. CJ Stroud is obviously the by far best rookie QB that we've seen in a while. Tank Dell is obviously amazing. Their other wide receiver, whose name completely escapes me, Nico Collins, is also really good. Will
Dalton
Anderson on
Schultz at tight
defense
end.
finally. Yeah, Dalton Schultz at tight end. Will Anderson started to get good towards the back half of the season. Like, that team I was saying was going to be scary next year. They were scary this year. They're going to be dominant next year. I'm calling it now.
At number 9, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, good golly, y'all did better than I thought. Baker did way better than I thought he was ever going to do. Obviously not Tom Brady, but let Baker bake, baby. He seems to know what he's doing. You got to do everything you can to keep him. Just push forward. Y'all got something cooking here. Y'all made the playoffs. Y'all won a playoff game. I mean, yeah, I think there's something here, and I think y'all had a good season. You're up 9.
At number 8, I have the Dallas Cowboys. You guys played really good in the regular season. Looked like you had everything going for you. Everyone was saying it was your year. And man, I really did think that maybe potentially you might finally win a playoff game again. And then you get smothered by the Packers, who are actually still below you in the rankings here, by the way. Like, it's only because your regular season was just so stellar that put you above them, to be honest with you. I don't understand how you can collapse so bad in one game at home. Honestly, you guys should be higher than this, but you just... That playoff game was just bad, man.
At number 8, I have the Cleveland Browns. Look, how you guys did this, I'll never understand. Dominant defense this year. But you lost your superstar running back like week 2 or 3. Watson didn't look good early and then went out for the season. And then somehow Joe frickin' Flacco powers you into the playoffs alongside a great defense. How? Give Stefanski all the money after that. How he coached that team and convinced them that they were still good enough to make the playoffs, let alone make the playoffs and then play the Texans and put up a halfway decent showing for at least a half. No, I don't understand it. I never will. Have a nice day. Up 12.
Fair enough. At number 7, I have the LA Rams because, holy fuck, I kept saying how this is a dark horse team. Matthew Stafford, you can never count out. Cooper Kupp's going to look good. I was wrong on that one. It wasn't Cooper Kupp that helped propel this team. It was fucking Puka Nacua, baby. This team was so fucking fire in the back half that, frankly, I probably put them higher than they deserve, but, like, they were just that good in the back half that, like, this team going into next season is going to be really fucking scary.
Mm-hmm. I may have underrated them a little bit, and I think you overrated them. I think they're somewhere between where we had them, to be honest.
Probably.
However, number 7, the Green Bay Packers. Fuck you.
Oh, that hurts.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Up 12.
Sounds about right.
That's all I have to say.
At number 6, I have the Miami Dolphins. I probably have you slightly higher than you deserve, just because you just can't seem to get over that playoff hump like the Cowboys. But at the same time, you haven't had nearly as much of an expectation as much as the Cowboys have had. So I think you performed well in the regular season. I think you obviously have your coach. You have a good QB. You have good offensive weapons. You just need to round out that defense. And I think you guys will be good. This season overall went pretty well. Could have gone a little better. But I think you guys are showing that you're a top candidate in the AFC for sure.
Number 6, the Houston Texans / Strouds. If anybody said they saw this coming, you're a big fat fucking liar.
I mean, to be fair, I did have them, I think, last year in like 20 or 19. So
yeah, but you didn't have them making the playoffs, beating a team in the playoffs. No, up 24 positions from where I had you. I had you at 30. You went up 24 spots. Good job. Keep it going next year. You guys look dominant as shit.
pretty much.
What else to say? You said everything else about the players that needed to be said.
Yeah, that's true. At number 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. You guys, I mean, it hurts because you guys have all the talent in the world to be higher than this. And you just can't ever quite get over the fucking Chiefs, man. Whatever you do, the Chiefs are always just a step above you guys. And it hurts to see because you have all the talent to do it. You just can never quite get there. Don't get me wrong. 5 is obviously fantastic. You're in the top 5 of 32 fucking teams. Like, that's really good. But, like, it hurts to watch this team that potentially could get a Super Bowl never getting a Super Bowl.
I don't disagree with that thought. because at number 5, I also have the Buffalo Bills. First, I thought, you might not make the playoffs this year. Then you changed the gears and you did. Then I thought, hey, they can beat Kansas City. Nope. Let down again.
Yeah,
Up 1.
Pretty much. At number 4, I have the Detroit Lions. This is fucking weird to say, but the Lions are good. So, I think things are looking up. We'll see what you do in the draft. We'll see how the future goes, but I don't think anyone can outright tell me that they saw the Lions being this successful this season. I think a lot of people thought they were going to be pretty good. I don't think anyone expected them to win playoff games.
At number 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Man, did y'all get hot. Still couldn't take out KC, though. And it wasn't even an offensive shootout like it should have been. That's why you're at 4 instead of like at 3. I'm disappointed in you. However, Flowers looked really good this year. Lamar seems to have changed up his style enough to stay healthy all season. There's some stuff going on there. We'll have to see how good you do next year. Up 6.
At number 3, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. And it grosses me to even say that you're in my top 5 because of how poor your front half of the season was. In fact, your middle season wasn't that great, and your back half wasn't even that great. You got hot at the right time, which was fucking playoffs, and it disgusts me. It absolutely revolts me to say this. But you're at 3. Fuck you guys.
At number 3, I have the Detroit Lions. You guys were picked to win the NFC North. And you did. Honestly didn't think you'd win playoff games, but you did that too. Good job. Up 10.
At number 2, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, their regular season was fucking stellar. I don't think anyone can dispute that. They were fucking amazing the entire regular season. They have led the entire NFL damn near for pretty much the entire season. They were the best team pretty much in the NFL for quite a while. Unfortunately, I suspected that there would be a stumble at some point. I just wish it happened in the regular season and not against the fucking Chiefs in the playoffs, because that's where it happened. And I can't hold that completely against them because the Chiefs are like the New England Patriots now. They can have a middling season and just look magical in the playoffs. And that's what the Chiefs have been doing. They did it last season. They're doing it this season. It's just the Chiefs' way now. And it's unfortunate that the Ravens ended up running into that wall and not finding a way to come over it. But I still think the Ravens overall this season were a better team than the Chiefs. And so I couldn't put that over them.
Bug on the windshield.
Yeah.
Sadly, though, I do have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 2. Again, even.
And number 1, we obviously have the same number 1 since neither one of us has brought them up yet. It is, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. They are just... I don't even think that they're better than the Ravens. I just, as far as, how the season went, but as far as being the most resilient team, not letting, big deficits, especially in the playoffs.
Oh, God. I thought they were going to lose to the Lions. They were down 3 scores or so going into the half, and came back and won by a field goal.
Don't forget they did the same thing to the Packers.
The Packers, yeah.
So this is a team that's incredibly resilient, has a lot of talent on it. If there's a team that's going to knock the Chiefs off, it would be a team that's not going to get down 30 points and not be like, we can still fucking win this game. That's what the 49ers are.
Exactly.
They're not going to roll over like the Ravens in the second half. They're going to come back harder 100%. In the second half. So
they're the team that you punch them. They're like Rocky. You punch them in the mouth, and then they say, come on, hit me again. Exactly. And they just get angrier as you hit them more. And they let you punch yourself out, and then they throw the haymaker, and you're done.
Exactly. So I think the 49ers are far and away at the moment the best overall team as far as talent, as far as literally not giving up games. They refuse to die. And I think there's no question that they're pretty much the best team in the NFC.
So I was rewatching old Teen Titans stuff the other day. And there's the very end of it all, there's the thing where all the Titans come back together again. And Cyborg comes in and he goes, lesson number 1, don't throw me down a chasm unless you make sure I'm dead. That's the 49ers.
Pretty much.
Just when you have to, it's a double tap. You can't just put one in the chest and one in the head. You got to put one in the chest and 2 in the head. Double tap them, make sure it's the only possible way, and then nuke it from orbit.
And just hope it doesn't
survive. That's the Niners. They are the most resilient thing we've seen. They're up 6 on my rankings. They are definitely number 1. I honestly feel like they're probably going to win the Super Bowl, if only because the Chiefs may get out to an early lead, but the Niners are just going to come back and sock them in the mouth 5 or 6 times. And the Chiefs are going to know how it feels to be socked in the mouth this year. They beat the Eagles last year on some shiesty circumstances. This year they're not going to have that. It's because they're going to be up going into the half, and then I'm going to tell you right now, the Niners are just going to plow them down in the second half. It's going to be the way it goes. I know Madden is predicting the Chiefs win, but I don't think so. I think the Niners are just better. So, anyway, that is our full postseason power rankings. And I obviously did the comparison. We'll do another set after the draft and before preseason starts. We'll do a set in there. Next week, we are going to have to review the Super Bowl. And should we do our awards show next week?
I mean, considering that the review won't take very long, I guess we can.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do our awards. Now, we're going to tell you that we have we have the standard awards, because who doesn't have those? I even still have the lists of who's been nominated, so we can tell you who we think should have won, because I think by then...
I don't know if those will be announced by then. They should be.
They should be. I believe they will be. I think they're announced Saturday.
Yeah.
So we will go over who we think should win and who did win by the NFL standards. But we're also going to have our own awards. Like, we have the Peyton Hillis Award. We also have the LVP. So we will the Setting Sun Award. We will talk to you about all of those awards, what they mean, what they are, and we will give you our winners next week. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a great, great time. Yeah. We will see you all then. I don't have any more this week. Do you have any more this week?
Nope.
As I said, there won't be a hockey power rankings because they've been on the All-Star break. So... there were the first 2 games back were last night. So, there's a bunch of games tonight. So next week, expect hockey power rankings to make a return again. And we're still waiting on more reports out of London, Ontario. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But, yeah. Outside of that, we have nothing else to say to you. We hope that whatever you all accomplish or want to accomplish this week, put your mind to it and you can do it. We hope to see you next week back here again. And what we'll say now, stay bearded. Love the Loki. Peace out.